Hey guys, it's Dad with Dad's Guide to Adulting. I hope you're doing well and that you're having a great day. In this video, we're going to be talking about the magic of compound growth. And this is a really important principle to understand when you are young. This is the single most important way that you can build wealth over time. Because of the magic of compound growth, you are able to build wealth over time by simply regularly saving small amounts of money. I'm going to repeat that because it's an incredibly important thing to know when you're a young adult. Because of the magic of compound growth, it is easy to build wealth when you are young by regularly saving small amounts of money. If you do this and start saving money regularly when you are young, you are going to be able to achieve financial freedom a lot earlier in your life than would be the case if you wait until saving it later. And here's the basic reason why that's true. Historically, the stock market, the American stock market, which most people invest in, has grown an average of about 10% a year overall. In other words, if you were to invest in a wide variety of stocks, the market as a whole over a period of time, and some years it goes up and some years it goes down, but overall, the long-term trend has been upward. That basically gives you a method to increase your wealth without having to work for more income. In other words, what happens is eventually your money grows to a point where the growth on that money alone, the savings and earnings on your savings, starts to replace the income that you get from your actual job. Basically means that your money is working for you and producing the income you need to live on without you having to slave away at a job to get it done. So your goal in handling your finances when you are young is to try to grow your wealth as quickly as you can early enough so that you get to the point more quickly where the money is large enough that it throws off enough money to replace your income. So for example, let's say you decide that you need a salary of $150,000 a year to live comfortably. Well, you want to get your investments to the point where they are throwing off $150,000 every year in growth or in dividends, payments on the stocks, etc. that you own, so you can live off of that. Most young people hear those kinds of numbers and they're thinking, how in the world am I going to save up to that kind of money? It's going to take forever. I don't have that kind of money. The basic point to remember is compound growth does it for you. So let's talk about a few examples. Let's talk a little bit first about how it is easier to make money if you have money. And the reason is that if you have a certain amount of money but you apply a percentage increase to it, the greater the amount of money that you have, the greater the percentage increase. So for example, if you have $1,000 and it grows 10%, you're going to make $100 that year. If you've already got $10,000 though, a 10% increase on that gives you $1,000. If you've got $100,000 saved, a 10% increase on that gives you $10,000. So what that basically means is the more money you have, the more money you will earn on the increase. That's why a lot of people who are wealthy stay wealthy and continue to get there. So your goal is to increase the amount of money you save in your early years to get to that point where the dollar amounts that are being earned every year on your savings are large enough to replace your income. So let's talk about how compound growth works. The magic of compound growth is because every year you earn a percentage on what you've already earned in the previous year. Basically, it works like this. If you've got $1,000 and it grows by 10% in a year, in that year you're going to earn $100 of income. Now in the next year, are you going to earn $100 as well, assuming you don't save anything else? The answer is no, you're going to earn more than that. And the reason is you're now going to get 10% on the $1,000 that you initially saved, plus the $100 that you earned. So now we're basically talking about you're going to get 10% of $1,100, which is $111. So that you're earning more than the 100, you're earning 111. Doesn't sound like much, and in the early stages, candidly, it's not. But over time, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger because of the fact that the percentage number is being applied to a larger absolute number. By year 10, that $1,000 that you saved would then be worth about $2,600. So in year 11, your income would be $260. By year 20, the $1,000 you saved will be worth roughly $6,700, $6,700. So in that year, you earn $670. By year 30, it's going to be worth roughly $17,500, meaning that you're going to earn $1,750 and on and on. By the time you get to year 50, presumably in your late 60s and looking to retire at that point, the $1,000 that you saved when you were 18 years old will have turned into roughly $117,000. That's simply by investing it early and letting it grow over time. Okay, you may be saying, well, that's great, but I have to wait until then in order to enjoy that kind of money. Well, the truth is, no, you don't, because if in fact you do this every year until then and you continue saving money, you will in fact get yourself to the point where you have financial freedom in retirement earlier. Now, I'm going to give you just a couple examples of this. There's lots of numbers, and they're on our website where we've given you some examples about how this works. But let's just talk about if you were to save $1,000 every year, and not just in the first year, but every year. It's only about $100 a month. It's not that much. It's easy to do. By year 10, that'll be worth about $20,000, even though you've only put in $10,000. By year 20, that could be worth $69,000, and on and on. And by year 50, the $50,000 that you invested, $1,000 a year for 50 years, could be worth roughly $1.4 million. It's huge. And the only reason that happens is because you started early and let it grow. One of the obvious things that happens here is the really big annual increases only occur after it's been saved for 30 or 40 years. It is true that the larger increases come later. You have to be patient, and you have to be willing to save now rather than spending now in order to have more money later. If you don't take advantage of these early years to save, it is almost impossible to duplicate these numbers later. We have a chart on the website that shows a few examples of people who started saving early and late. And if you wait 10, 15 years to start saving, it becomes very difficult. You'll end up having to work 5 years longer than otherwise would be the case if you start saving early. If you want to play with these numbers yourself, I suggest you go on Google or one of the other search engines and type in compound interest calculators, and a number of them will pop up. I think it is well worth the time to plug in some numbers, how much you think you might be able to save, some different growth rates, and then see what kind of numbers you end up getting over time. The more you experiment and play with those calculators, the more you realize how incredible it is how quickly your money can grow. Okay, so now we've talked about the magic of compound interest. Now let's talk about setting up a net worth chart so you can keep track of your income and your wealth growth over time. We'll see you next time. Until then, remember, you got this.